Hey guys, I'm Fallen Messiah and welcome to another Diablo 4 video. In this video, we will be focusing on how to get the maximum out of your season, or season 9 in particular. How to get the most value out of your time, how to get the most amount of gold, experience, and the coveted resplendent sparks. This is going to be my ultimate guide for season 9. So this guide is mostly catered to players who are fairly new, maybe don't have too much experience with the game, but they have already progressed through the storyline through the main campaign and now are ready for the Diablo 4 endgame. If you're just starting your journey into Diablo 4 and you're in the story still, I personally recommend against heeding this advice because these are endgame mechanics and you should probably just focus on playing throughout the story. It's a pretty cool story, just finish that first, and then once you do that, you're ready for the endgame of Diablo 4. If you, however, are already here at that point, then this is the video for you. So we'll be focusing on three main things. Number one, experience. Number two, the coveted resplendent sparks. And number three, in-game gold. How to gain all of these things naturally through playing the game, but also through a couple of tips and tricks, such as power leveling, such as using a resource like Diablo.trade, which is, by the way, the biggest trading site in Diablo 4. It's completely legitimate, it has Blizzard's blessing, so these are things we'll be covering in this video. So if this is something that interests you, so stay tuned and we're gonna be jumping straight into it. And also, even if you are a veteran player of the game, maybe I can still teach you a thing or two that you didn't know. And of course, if you appreciate these efforts and all the time that it takes into making these videos, I would really appreciate it if you would drop that like and sub to the channel. It's a free way to support me and it really helps me out tremendously. Anyway, let's get straight to it. Alright, let's talk about experience first. When we talk about experience, we have to talk about two different topics. Number one is leveling from level 1 to 60, and number two is leveling your Paragon. I will be focusing my efforts on leveling from 1 to 60. To level your Paragon, there are two best ways to do it. You can do Infernal Hordes, which is really great up until a certain point, but by far the best one is doing Speed Pits 60, 70. When I say Speed Pits, I mean like the pit shouldn't last more than 2 minutes. So Speed 70s is probably the best way to level your Paragon. But when we talk about leveling brand new characters, there are two main ways. So you can either level normally by just playing the game, or you can power level. Power leveling itself comes in two different flavors. You can power level by having a different character claim all the Whisper caches, and then you can open those Whisper caches by using your brand new character. However, that process takes a little bit of time. Second way to power level, which I'm going to be actually focusing on the second part of the video, is by having someone rush you through the pit. By doing pit level 60, 70, etc. This usually takes around roughly 20 minutes to get a brand new character from 1 to 60, and that's by far the fastest method. But anyway, in this first portion of the video, I actually wanted to focus on leveling your very first character to level 60. So let's say you just made a brand new character. What is the best way to go on about it? In this season, Nightmare Sigils and Nightmare Dungeons in general have been significantly reworked. So now we get actually some pretty cool affixes on them. And out of these affixes, I would specifically like to highlight this one called Forgotten Wisdom. You open this affix and then all the opponents in the dungeon actually drop experience orbs. And they're actually pretty cool. So let me just show you how this works in practice. The great thing about these sigils is they are available to you the moment you start playing a new character. So they are immediately available and you can use it to level. So I just killed enemies and they're dropping these experience orbs. And then I just collect them. Now, because I'm already a significant Paragon level, they're not going to do a whole lot for me. But it's going to be pretty good for a brand new character. I tested it. And great thing about this affix is that it's actually getting buffed, I believe, tomorrow. Because the way it currently works is that it has this kind of internal limit how many of these orbs can drop, and then once this limit is exceeded, no other monster in the dungeon is going to drop any further orbs. So that's just kind of how the thing is designed. So in the brand new patch coming up tomorrow, I believe, they're going to extend the limit of these orbs. So as you can see, I'm not really getting a whole lot of experience because of my Paragon, but if you're leveling, you're gonna actually find that these dungeons with these orbs are really nice. Plus, every time you open the sigil, there's a guaranteed experience well, and experience well is, I believe, additional 10 or 15% experience. So these things just go really well hand in hand. So this is something I wanted to showcase. To be honest, this dungeon doesn't drop nearly as many orbs as I hoped for. Yeah, as you can see. So the thing is, they drop them after death. So sometimes you have to backtrack in case you miss them. And also, this build is not the best in terms of showcasing them because these poison bottles kind of obstruct visual clarity, but you see what I mean. So you just get all of these orbs, you kill all of these enemies, and then you drop them, and then you just collect them, and while leveling, you'll find they're actually very, very good. Now that we talked about experience sigils, let's talk about power leveling, because it's very important about this next segment about resplendent sparks that I'm gonna teach you. So, what is power leveling? Power leveling is when someone takes your freshly made character, level 1, and then goes through high levels of the pit, usually 55, 60, 65, 70 and onwards, and then you just stand there and you leech experience, and within say 20 to 25 minutes your character is max level 60. Ordinarily this would take you, if you were to level yourself, this would take you around, let's say, at least 5, 6, 7 hours, maybe more. So this method cuts down the time needed to get to the max level dramatically. How do you power level? Well, you could use a friend, or you can pay somebody for that service. There's a website called Diablo.trade, which is a completely legit website that also has Blizzard's blessing, so it's not some kind of a shady third-party website or anything else. It's the website that most people, and probably yourself, have heard about and use it for trading and other things. There are also Blizzard representatives in the official Discord as well. However, on the website you can also sell and buy services. I will talk a little bit more about that in the final portion of the video, which is in-game gold, but suffice it to say that you can buy services from Diablo.trade and then someone can rush you in exchange for gold. So current prices are around 1 to 1.5 billion, but you can get even cheaper than that depending on how lucky you are. Sometimes people even do it for free, but you have to be really lucky to find that. You can also do one other thing that I did as well, and that is rush versus rush. If you already have at least one character that can clear Torment 4, which isn't too hard, then someone can rush you and then you can return the favor. Now, all of this requires a certain degree of trust. Somebody has to make a service first, or somebody has to make a payment first. There is no real system to enforce somebody to fulfill their end of the bargain. However, from my experience so far, people have been pretty cool about all of this. You know, I haven't really been scammed in a long time as far as services are concerned. So that is basically how you can power level. And for this part of the video, for this demonstration, I made a brand new character. This isn't actually even an alt. This is going to be a character I will be playing throughout the season, my third character so far. I will make a Hydra Sork out of him. And just a quick nod to all of you old heads out there, I tried to model this sorcerer out of the original OG sorcerer from Diablo 1. Yes, that's how old I am. So, you know, your mileage may vary as to how successful I was. I'm going to power level this character now to level 60, and then we'll be right back. And we are back with the magical power of editing. Suddenly my character now is level 60 with Paragon 227. Now, why all this talk about power leveling? Well, there are two main ways to get a resplendent spark. Number one is to farm Ubers, or more specifically, Belial. This is chance based. On average, I say you have roughly around maybe 2-3% chances of dropping. It's pretty low, you need lots of materials. These materials are kind of in the gray area that I talked about earlier before. Most of them are duped. Anyway, you can try and farm Belial, or alternatively, there is a method that is deterministic, and that is reputation farming. So every season has its own reputation system. Now, they did some changes to this season, so I can no longer just buy everything here with seasonal currency, which I have, by the way, over 100,000. because they made it so you need to be already at level 15. You already need to have this unlocked in order to progress further to level 18, which is the resplendent cache, which has the resplendent spark. So they definitely nerfed that. Also, additionally, these conversions, like 200 knowledge for 2000 currency, is a scam. That's just a scam. It's bad. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, first, if you're going to go to this route, which I'm recommending, you power level a character to 60, then you're going to do a couple of Infernal Horde runs. You need 3 to 4 good runs to get full reputation. So this is not a lot. This is like, let's say, each run is around 20 minutes. So around maybe 1 hour and a half, depending on how often you find these games, if these games are good or not. And then after you do these Infernal Horde runs, I'm gonna go over that as well, you unlock a spark. So all of this does take time, but it's a deterministic way to get a spark. So between fighting people to power level, between, fighting a good party and doing these hordes, you can expect roughly around 2 to 3 hour stops per one spark, which honestly is not that bad. So if you, let's say, sink in 6 hours for 2 sparks, that's a guaranteed mythic. So it's not chance based, it's deterministic, and you already know exactly what to do. You know the steps, you know what's expected of you. So that's not bad. Also, this season has been really buffed, and this makes the hordes especially good because in the previous season, only the bosses gave reputation, but in this season, every single elite killed drops reputation too. So that's why hordes are insanely good for that, because there are so many elites at all times, especially Hellborn. But before we go over the hordes, I would just like to go over a little bit about power leveling in case you've never done that before. I recorded my session. I just wanted to kind of explain just a little bit how does it work, what to do if you've never done it. Alright guys, so just to quickly take you through the process of power leveling. By the way, I recorded myself recording myself. This is some extra meta shit. I'm literally on top of myself right here, which is a weird thing to say. But, so, I found this guy on Diablo.trade. He was advertising his services for 500 million. So, you join a game. It's a little bit laggy, so I'm sorry about that. And then you join a game. You stand in one place. You literally stand in a single place and experience just flows. Now you actually get most XP by boss kills. At the beginning it goes actually very quickly, but you will see pretty soon. Just fast forwarding to the boss. The boss is going to come very quickly because the meter is almost full and the red portal is going to open. So you don't actually have to do anything. You literally stand in one place. You don't want to die. Maybe this guy also wants to level their glyphs, so you don't want to die and then give them one less chance to level up. So you literally have no reason to move. You're just sitting there, and then you're waiting for the red portal. When the red portal opens, you go in. Any second now. There we go. You go into the portal, and now once you're inside the room, you get all the benefits. And as you can see, I already got level 36 just from a single run. This whole run took less than 20 minutes. It was very quick. Let me just show you run number 2. This is what I want to show. When you walk in, there is always this part in the map that's the boss area. You want to stand just outside of the boss area, the way that I'm doing it right now. You have zero reason to go inside. If you go inside, you're probably just going to die because you're severely underleveled for the content. You just wait outside for a couple of seconds, and then the barrier is going to form, and then if you click on the barrier, you can gain entry to the boss area. You have no reason to be there. Just wait outside of this little entrance. Even if there is no barrier formed yet, just wait inside. See? This is what I'm talking about. The boss is not dead yet. In a couple seconds, barrier is going to form here. There we go. And that's really it. The whole thing was very fluid, very quick. And by the way, I just want to take for a special shout out to this dude. Runs were super quick. I wanted to tip this guy 100 mil extra. Just for, being a good sport about it. And he's like, no, it's too much. And I'm like, dude, I'm giving you a tip. And he's like, I can't do it. So, I guess special shout out to you, hey Paul, whoever you are, you're a bro. I wanted to tip this guy, he says no. I actually had to give him 100 million less for him to accept the trade. So just to show you guys, there is definitely a lot of good people in the community. Of course, every once in a while you will probably run into bad apples, but because there is no real system of enforcement when it comes to these services, you're just all kind of relying on good faith, you know, just don't be a cunt. If someone does a service to you, pay them. And likewise, if someone pays you for the service, just do it. That's it, that's the moral of the story. And that's power leveling 101. You go in, you stay in place, you just leech XP, and then when the red portal opens up, you go in, you stay just slightly outside the boss area because you don't want to die for no reason. As long as you didn't go into the perimeter, you are invulnerable and you cannot die, but you will get XP, items, etc., glyph upgrades, whatever, you'll get everything. Alright, so you made a new alt, you power leveled your character to level 60, you paid someone to do it, or maybe you had a friend. Now what? How do you get that spark? Well, as I mentioned earlier, you need to do a couple of Infernal Horde runs. And there are several ways to do it. You can pay someone for a carry, so that's definitely always an option. You can join an already existing party, which is by far the easiest way to do it. And thirdly, you can make your own party. If you're paying for somebody to carry you, that's very self-explanatory. You can find the services in Diablo.trade of the same way. You know, just you go into someone else's party, they carry you, you pay them, and bam, that's it. If you're going to join an existing party in Torment 4, however, the most important thing is to make sure that you're not actually dying all of the time. That is very annoying for other players, and it's even worse if you are manually reviving instead of waiting to be revived, because then you're just wasting the available revives. And that's going to get you removed from the game very quickly. So, if you're going to follow this method, you need to be able to survive. So what I did during the power leveling process is I collected every single piece of shit gear that the pit bosses dropped, and now I'm going to show you how to use this awful gear with just a little bit of tempering and just a little bit of enchanting and low level gems, how to assemble a character to hit res caps and armor caps and survive in Torment 4. First, let's change the difficulty to Torment 4. Of course, now you can see that my armor and my resist are horrible, minus 69, nice, to all res. So, first of all, we're going to sort the equipment and we're going to equip those that have the biggest level. So you just go and read and equip everything that's in green. So anything that gives you more armor than the equipment that you're already wearing. That's it, that's the entire process. Okay, so our values are admittedly slightly less horrible, but we can get this a lot better. First of all, everywhere that we can enchant armor, we're going to do it. So, helm, chest, if you have any resistances, you should keep them. Pants, boots. By the way, don't be afraid to enchant your primary stat. You're not going to be needing it for this part, because you're not doing any damage anyway. At least 2 pieces of gear. We're going to temper percentage to armor. That's because that's a huge boost to our armor as well. We can also put more armor on amulet as well. So now our armor value is 503. And the combination of these two instances, Song of the Mountain and Soothing Spices, give you 450 armor total. So look at this, I'm over the armor cap on Torment 4 with this absolute shit gear. Now, resistances. We'll use a combination of enchants, tempers, and gems to do it. So, for example, I took the gloves, I'm going to roll out crit strike chance, and I'm going to put one of these resistances on it. So because my previous pants were bricked, I gambled new ones. This one has a intelligence greater affix, so I will just favorite it and put it aside for later use. I got another one with an armor greater affix, which is going to be actually benefiting me nicely. So look at these pants. Armor and dual resistances thanks to 1 enchant and 1 temper. And after all the tempering and enchanting, this is basically how things look like. So here we have poison res, cold res, lightning res, more armor, etc. You know, you get the picture. So I'm armor capped, and my resistances suddenly are a lot better. But now I'm noticing that shadow resistance is in the minus. I will correct that with 2 amethyst gems. So you don't need any big gems. You can do, for example, flawless or royal will do just fine. So I'm just gonna create 2. I put them into the sockets. And bam, suddenly my resistances are a lot better. And then I will make another royal emerald just to increase my poison res. This took me maybe 15 minutes. After all the tinkering, I'm on the armor cap and my resistances are suddenly looking a lot better. In terms of resistances, not all are the same. Prioritize fire res, number one, because all explosions are fire damage based. Fire damage is overrepresented in Diablo 4. Then, second one, you want to make sure you have a high poison res because poison is very deadly in certain mobs. You want to make sure that it's very high. Then lightning, then cold, then shadow. That's my opinion. So, this is the end result. I could probably take this even a bit further, but generally speaking, this is just something that I wanted to showcase, that you can take this trash gear and you can absolutely hit the res cap, and then you can also get a lot of resistances as well. Just avoid all res stat on gems and on enchants because they're not nearly as good as individual resistances. And then what you want to do is you want to create a gear that's also very defensive minded, things that give you mobility, teleport, barrier, damage resistance. If one skill gives you damage resistance while using it, you're gonna use that. So the whole point is to make sure that you stay alive in Torment 4 Infernal Hordes. If you're still struggling, then you're gonna have to drop down to Torment 3. It's going to take you a couple of extra runs to get to the Spark, but then you should be pretty much perfectly safe. Alright, so you followed my advice, you power level your character to level 60, you set up your build, you picked up all of the shit gear along the way in the pit, and you managed to use tempering and enchanting to your advantage to hit the armor cap and as close to a rest cap as possible. Now what? Well, before you go into the Infernal Hordes, there is one other thing you have to do. You have to complete first seasonal quest. If you don't do that, you will not unlock Horagic Knowledge, which is the name for this season reputation. No matter how many monsters you kill, if you don't do this part, monsters will not drop reputation. So this is very important. First, what you're going to do is you're going to go down from Torment 4 to normal. You can choose any combination of skills. It doesn't really matter. On normal, you shouldn't really struggle with content, even though I think this is currently bugged in Season 9, because with any kind of normal gear, these monsters on normal should be dying just by looking at them wrong. So they're still more tough than they should be. I think that's a bug. But either way, you go down to normal, you speak to Bryona in Kerrigar, and then you teleport to the manor. You speak to Bryona again, and you just follow the seasonal quest until you hit this, the Embers Yet Smolder. You go into this sort of burning forsaken building, and then what you have to do is you have to find your first strong room. This is basically the way the game teaches you what a strong room is and how to find them. So I assembled some kind of a random build. I wanted to make sure I'm as defensive as possible, and you have this little kind of a wayfinder that leads you to the strong room. So as you can see, it's literally right here. You activate it, you kill some monsters, and a portal opens, and then you go in. Once you decide a strong room, you activate the pillar. You're gonna kill these monsters. Again, I'm sorry for the lag. It is what it is. And then once you kill them, you're gonna pick any random attunement, it doesn't matter, and then you gain access to the strong room. You don't have to fill this meter. As soon as this timer expires, the boss is spawned. Once you kill the boss, it will drop a blood relic. It's a quest item that you're gonna turn over to Kerrigar then. As you can see, what I fast forward, I'm literally just killing these monsters here very slowly. This is not optimized in any way, shape, or form. Again, just a reminder, this is the same shit gear we found on the pit that we optimized defensively, not offensively. Now I'm just standing here for 30 seconds and waiting for the boss to spawn. Here it is. The boss is going to spawn. You kill the boss. You're gonna have this Grand Inquisitor cache. You open the cache, you pick up the blood relic, you go to Kerrigar. Now this is very important, so pay attention. You have to take this dialogue, you have to go to the focus, and then you have to speak with Bryona again. If you don't do this part, if you just go to the focus, but you don't do this part, you don't unlock this part that says gain Horagic Knowledge, then monsters are still not going to drop reputation. So first you have to turn over the blood relic to Bryona, you have to look at the focus, you have to return to Bryona, and then once this says gain Horagic Knowledge, then now you're ready to farm reputation in Infernal Hordes. Trust me, I learned this the hard way so that you don't have to. And now we are in the Infernal Hordes, just a little bit quick showcase. So, I created my own game. You can see through this little kind of a crown that I am the party lead. The reason why I did that is because nobody can kick me out if I'm a party lead. So, to unlock the spark fully, I needed 3 of these runs. They were very good runs, and then I had to do just a little bit extra from run number 4, and I was done. So all in all, one run is around 15 minutes. So I was looking at, let's say, with all the downtime, maybe 1 hour of this process tops. So as you can see, I'm farming reputation incredibly quickly. All I'm doing is I'm keeping myself alive. So I picked up all the defensive aspects, I picked up defensive spells, I have several ways of getting myself invulnerable. I'm already at tier 10. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just running around collecting Aether, and I'm making sure that I also have a pet unlocked that can help me with picking up, and I'm just making sure I don't die, because it's very annoying for other players if you're dying all the time. So, you know, even though I have all of this shit gear, I am not dying. I did die twice in this run and I never died again. I'm just dodging the mechanics, I'm using my flame shield, and I'm keeping myself alive. Now, if you're unsure as to what kind of boons and banes to pick for the Infernal Hordes, I actually even have a guide for that. I have a video that I posted 6 months ago that goes into great detail about which boons to pick over others. I made an entire tier list and it's still relevant to this day. So I will be linking it down here somewhere in the video. So you can just click on it, and if you want to learn more which bane and boons to skip and which to pick every single time, it's gonna be a handy guide for you. If you're not sure, then just let other people do that instead. And that's basically the gist of it. You're just trying to keep yourself alive. Other people in Tournament 4 are kind of going to do, you know, all the work for you. And to be fair, yes, this method is a little bit cheesy, but this is something that I call a victimless crime. Let me just fast forward to this run, just so I can show you how many Aether we actually had. So we're gonna have all over 1000 Aether. It's not like that, you know, party suffered because I didn't do damage or anything of that sort. This was a good run. Run number 2 actually had over 1100. So these public runs were really, really good. And all I'm doing is I'm just keeping myself alive. I'm trying to stay out of people's business, out of their way, and I'm farming the reputation. That's it. So it took me 3 runs and a little bit extra, and I was there. So let's say an hour, give or take, which is, you know, not bad at all. And to keep things fair, I also used my own Infernal compasses. So overall, I will say this method, everything from power leveling to Infernal Horde, all of this takes around 2 up to 3 hours tops per spark, which honestly is not bad. Worst case scenario, let's say you did spend 6 hours for 2 sparks. That's not a bad thing at all for the best items in the game. It's a deterministic way to get them. It's a sure way to get them, guaranteed. So you know the necessary steps to do. You're not relying on RNG. You're not relying on chance. And finally, this is the moment that we're working so hard towards. So we have unlocked all seasonal stuff. So we're just going to claim everything first. Tier 18, Resplendent Cache. Alright, so we got a great deal of items, lots of consumables and layer boss stuff. A couple pretty nice dungeon keys, which I'm gonna talk about a little bit later. And we also got Ophidian Iris, which is nice because that's exactly what I need for my Hydra. But of course, the most important prize is this, Resplendent Cache. We open it and bam, we have a Resplendent Spark. That's the whole reason why we're doing all of this. And you go to materials and you can see, there it is. And that's how you get Resplendent Spark within around 2 to 3 hours of farming, which includes power leveling and going into the Infernal Hordes. Let's talk about the final part of the guide, number 3, which is in-game currency, gold. How do we get lots of gold? Well, near the beginning of the video, I was talking about doing services for other people. I actually have a full video about that I did last year, which goes over into a little bit more detail about that. I'm gonna link this right below here somewhere so you can see it as well. It's how I managed to completely cap myself out in gold. I had 100 billion gold that season just by doing services for others. So there's basically two ways to earn gold in this game. You can either be lucky and get a good item and engage in trading, or you can do services like the power leveling that someone else did for me. You can do that for others as well. So you have a character now in Torment 4. You just, work a little bit more on your gear, on your paragon, on your stuff, and you get to the point where you can go to the content, which isn't hard. All you need is a character that can reliably clear, let's say, Pit 65 to very easily crush Torment 4, which is Pit 55, I believe. So that is not hard to do. If you put a little bit effort into it, you should reach that goal very easily. However, I want to talk specifically about one kind of service. So I came up with this myself. I haven't seen anyone else do this kind of service. So a couple of days ago, I made this post on Diablo.trade because I was looking at my dungeon keys. These are all the sigils that I got as rewards for turning in seasonal currencies. Now, if you go to these sigils, they all have one thing in common, and that is all of these sigils have guaranteed Horadric Strongroom. So I was saving quite a bit of these sigils. So we got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So per character, you get 10 sigils with a guaranteed Strongroom when you do this power level method. So I was saving a lot of these. I already had all of my Arcana. I had all of my legendary gems. I have everything max level. I was looking for a way, how can I actually benefit from these sigils that have a Strongroom, because I no longer needed them myself. But then I remembered, what if I can sell my services? And so I had an idea to actually make this post on Diablo.trade, because I never really saw anyone else doing that kind of service, but I knew that other people probably still are playing and didn't find all of the Arcana or gems and would probably benefit from these Strongrooms. So I had an access on something that I didn't need. So I was basically selling a service to other people that, listen, per billion, I'm going to open a guaranteed Strongroom for you. I'm going to clear it for you at max level, and you pay me 1 billion per run. I advertised that, and I actually got 2 people replying. One person paid me 5 billion for 5 runs, and the other person paid me 10 billion for 10 runs. So that's 15 billion for maybe an hour of work tops. Because when you open a sigil, you know it has a Strongroom, and it can actually be immediately next to the entrance. It's not always, but if it is, then you literally spend 2 minutes doing something for 1 billion gold. It's a very nice way to earn money. It's something that I personally recommend. If you follow this method, if you follow my process, you will have at least 10 of these at your disposal. So if you sell each of these for 1 billion, that's at least 10 billion gold right there. However, if you have a full party of 3 other people, each paying you 1 billion, then you can actually have up to 30 billion gold by making sure that you do every single of these sigils in a full party. Time-wise, this is probably the best way to earn gold currently in Season 9. So I switched to a character that can actually clear these dungeons very easily. This is my Grizzly Rage Pulverized Druid, and I have a guide for this build as well if you like it, so you can click somewhere around here in case you want to see how this build plays. I have a very detailed guide about that too. Now let's open one of these Strongrooms, one of these sigils, so just so I can show you quickly how they operate, so that when you're actually doing this for someone else, you know what to do. So we just open the sigil and we go into the Nightmare Dungeon as per usual. Sometimes you will have to do these objectives as well. For example, this one tells me I have to slay all enemies. I'm actually being guided by this wayfinder that the Strongroom is right here, so I don't have to complete the rest of the objective. So look at this. This took me like what? 30 seconds to go here. I activate the pillar. I kill stuff around it. I'll go inside the portal. Then you interact with the other pillar. And once you kill all the monsters here, you will be presented with certain banes and boons. So not all of these are made equal. Some of them are actually really good. Usually these kind of legendary ones are the best, although the ones that I've gotten right here are not super good. Selected a couple of things, and now I'm rushing straight towards these pillars. Completing as many of these pillars by clicking on them and then killing monsters quickly is ultimately what's going to fill up this bar before the timer expires. So you want to make sure this bar is always full for maximum rewards. both for yourself and for the person that you're doing this for. Now, some of these modifiers at the beginning are actually really good. Like, for example, you spawn a monster, the Astaroth's dog, after you hit level 3 here, and then you kill him and you immediately get tons of attunement. Unfortunately, we weren't lucky enough to get that, but you can see that the clear is really fast even without that. Just look at your minimap, see which pillar is active at any given time, kill all the monsters around him, and that's it. As you can see, I have almost over 40 seconds to spare. I'm already done. I even killed the boss. I couldn't even see it. That's how much damage I'm doing. The boss is already dead, which is kind of funny. And then, you know, the person that you're rushing is going to be right here. Both of you open this chest. You know, this person gets any arcana they're missing or recipes for legendary gems, stuff of that nature. And that's the run. How long did this take me? This took me 4 minutes. 1 billion gold for 4 minutes or 3 billion gold for 4 minutes. If you did that for 3 players, that's not bad. So in my experience, that is the best way to earn money currently in Season 9. And if you do run out of these Horadric Strong Room sigils, you can always try and craft more, or you can do the same method that I already showed you. Through power leveling and Infernal Hordes, not only do you get a resplendent spark, you also get a very reliable way to earn a lot of gold in the game. And there you have it, guys. So we covered all the 3 main topics in this video: how to quickly earn lots of in-game gold, how to use different resources to your advantage such as Diablo.trade, how to power level, how to use reputation farming to gain sparks, and how to use the brand new sigils to get lots of experience. So if you found any of that helpful, let me know. If you have any feedback for me, if you think that I missed something that you think people should know, let me know down in the comments. And of course, as always, if you do appreciate these efforts, consider dropping like and a sub to the channel because it really helps me out tremendously. So anyway, that's gonna be it for me. I hope that you found this information helpful, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.